Hey everybody, this is Brett Ingram, and this is the optYOUmize podcast, the show that helps entrepreneurs build their dream business and dream life. Today we're talking with Simon Severino, author of Strategy Sprints, CEO of Strategy Sprints, TEDx speaker, podcast host, Forbes contributor, and triathlete. That's pretty awesome. He's created over $2 billion in sales for his clients, and I'm super excited about this because he's an expert at helping grow sales, which is obviously something we all want. So with that, welcome Simon.
Hey Brett,
thanks for joining
thanks for
us.
having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. So I know you're going to be sharing with us some amazing tips about how to grow our sales, what we can do to be more effective in that whole regard. But I have to start by asking you about your background. What's been your career path? And what led you specifically to want to focus on sales growth and systems?
I started 22 years ago and I did fall in love with the topic of go-to-market. How do you crush it in the market? How do you stay competitive? Because that's where my clients had the most passion for, the most budget for, the most interest for. If if you have a topic that's a nice to have, sometimes it's hard getting a budget. But if your topic is how do we crush it in the market, people will find the budget from every angle of the organization. They will scratch money together and go, let's go. And so I love that. I love that. And with time, of course, I learned to love the sweet sound of closed deals. Chigging, chigging, chigging. It's wonderful. And yeah, I like to see teams happy. And a team with low sales is very unhappy. And when sales is going well, you have a more calm atmosphere, more creativity, because now you can actually focus on what you love doing.
Exactly. So how did you then develop expertise in that area? It's obviously you realize, well, this is where the money is, right? Because if people have things that they want to do and maybe they're exciting, but they're not going to be something that's going to affect the bottom line, it's hard to get people to invest money there. If it's about generating more sales, obviously everybody says, yes, let's do it. But what did you do to go from recognizing that as a real, place of need to be able to become such an expert at, systematizing that and being so effective
What
with it?
everybody should do is to immerse yourself into that world. If you remember Elon Musk, he had no clue how to build a car. He just slept for 6 months in the factory. That's what he did. After 6 months, he knew how to build a car.
Yeah.
He's now building cars. And this is how you do it. You immerse yourself. And some people would say you close the door behind you, right? So that you cannot escape. So if you are immersed 24 hours a day in it, after 6 months, you will know something about it. So this is how I did it. I just said, guys, what's your main sales problem? What's your marketing problem? And then I started tackling it, right? And without an exit option, without collapsing after a few weeks where it doesn't work, but still being there, trying the next thing, A/B test, A/B test, A/B test. After a couple dozen of those, you know more. After a couple hundred, you know a lot. After a couple of thousand, you have a proven method. That became the strategy sprints method. And then it became a certification, a franchise, and all of that. But how do you start? By solving real problems without collapsing after a couple weeks. Really, every day. And that's the hard part, right? Most people collapse after a couple weeks. Uh, Instead of collapsing, you show up every day until that thing is solved. And then you say, okay, what else do we need to solve? And you solve that.
I really like what you said there because the one thing about it that really stands out to me is I think people inherently like to have an escape route. They like to have an alternate option. But you hit on something really important. When you don't have that, it necessitates the way to dominate and figure out and solve whatever problem you're faced with if you don't have another option. So I think even though the illusion of having other options can give us security, the reality of it is we really do need to be able to dive in both feet with no excuses and no ability to go anywhere else or do anything else in order to have that same kind of mentality and develop that expertise. So I think that's a really cool distinction there. So let's talk a little bit about sales and specifically. You've seen a lot of sales teams. You've seen a lot of sales people. What are common mistakes that you see salespeople
Oh,
make?
where do we start? I get 5, 6 sales recordings every week, and I give feedback. The main one is when they start a conversation, they don't give an agenda. They don't say, this is what's going to happen. Those are the two possible outcomes. We either have this outcome or we don't have this outcome. And in each case, this is what's going to happen next. So the first is they don't have a mini contract, an agenda of what's going to happen. You need that contract. And so this is one of the things that we help them establish. The second thing is they don't have talking points. So they don't have a sales playbook written down that the whole team is using.
Okay.
And so it's a hit and miss, and it's not replicable. So even if you're crushing it this month in sales, nobody can replicate it next month. So that's why you need a sales playbook where you write down your talking points, your strong questions. Third mistake that I see is telling the price too early. You will be pressured to ask you will be asked about the price in a pressured way very early. So yeah, okay, Brett, but what's the price? And beginners tell the price. Pros say, in which stage of your decision making are you right now? So that we can price it, right? So they never give the price prematurely because the price will happen much later. Price, first of all, there is no price. There is an investment of time and investment of money. There is no price. You are not Costco, right? There is no price of that thing. There is an investment of your time and of your money. And that investment has to be compared to the cost of inaction. So what happens if you do nothing? It has to be compared to what happens if you do it, but in another way, or if you do it yourself, or if you do it with somebody else. Those are the two comparisons. And then the second thing, what does it do for you? So if we get this right and if we solve this problem, how does it change your life and your business? After all these steps, now you tell them the investment of time and money. And now it's not even relevant to them because they're doing the right thing. They have the feeling that they're talking to the right partner for that, to the right vendor for that. Now, the price is secondary.
That makes total sense. And I've seen that myself. I was actually in sales for a few years. I was in life insurance for a little while. We sold to union members. It was kind of a niche company. It was interesting. And then I was also in the staffing industry for about 5 years. And both of those are very commoditized. If to the customer, they don't see any differentiation between you and the other staffing company or you and the other insurance company. So when we're in an industry like that, where sort of the clients view us all the same with very little preference or differentiation, how can we stand out and seem different or better so they don't just lump us in with everybody else?
Two things. One, so when your product is a commodity, it's like everybody else's, you have a problem. So what we have to do is the executive team and we have to work on the pricing power. We have to increase by 25% your pricing power, and that will be done with positioning and messaging. So we have to find what's unique about it. So that's one thing. Now, if you're not the executive team, if you're a salesperson and you can't change positioning and messaging, the only thing that is in your control is the conversation itself. Because they are talking to you or to another insurance broker, to another financial advisor. And the only difference that they will experience, since the product is similar, the only difference is you and how you conduct that conversation. How safe or risky it is to talk to you, how much you actually listen to me versus just push something onto me. If I feel understood, heard, seen, and if I have the feeling that you're helping me take my best decisions, not yours. That's in the conversation itself. And how people can practically do it is record your sales call and watch the talking time. If your talking time is above 30%, you're going to lose those deals. You will not be better than the other
Okay.
salespersons that you're compared with. But if your talk time is below 30%, if it's 28%, 28.5%, that means they feel in the driver's seat. They are talking, they are deciding, and you are their partner in that. People want to have allies, partnerships, trusted advisors. That will make the difference, because when they talk to the other guy and they are talking 70% of the time, they feel like, you know what, I prefer talking to that other guy where I get to talk.
Everybody
Yeah.
likes to talk more
Yes.
than listen, right? So, yeah, if you get them working through the process mentally and verbally, they're actually sort of closing themselves along the way. Whereas if you're telling them, they're backing up, feeling as though it's being
Absolutely.
pushed on them.
And there is only
So,
self-closing. There is nothing
yeah,
else.
that
There is, you help them to buy. There is nothing else than self-closing. You can't close anybody. You can help them buy. That's the only thing. It's in your control.
yeah, I think the old saying is people hate to be sold,
Yeah.
but they love to buy,
Yeah. I
something
like
like
to
that.
buy
So,
stuff. Help me buy stuff.
very cool. So I know the O word in sales is the third rail. Everyone's terrified. Objections. So it strikes fear into the hearts of some salespeople. Clients, instead of buying, give reasons not to. So is there a particular objection that you see as most common, and how would we
Yeah,
overcome
it's not
that?
the right time. What if it's not for me? What if it doesn't work and it's too expensive? Those are the things my clients hear the most. And all of that is in the talking points already. So we know the the concerns that we are gonna, the questions that we're gonna ask. So we raise the question ourselves immediately. You don't have to wait for somebody to ask you a question. Um, you raise the question yourself. So what else have you tried? What are you comparing this to? Are you looking at some competition? Okay, how much did you find out already? What else can you do? Can you do it yourself? Can you do it with somebody else? What is the budget that you are thinking about? Do you have a range already? So you come up with these things actively. What you see behind me, the yellow pyramid, those are the 8 steps of closing a high
Hmm.
ticket deal. So in those steps, you
Okay.
proactively go to those places. You don't have to wait until
Okay.
they ask you. You proactively start talking about them. You start with the elephants in the room. And those are the elephants in the room: time, money, invest, risk.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know those are the things that sort of sit in the back of your mind. You're worried about it. You know they're worried about it because it's going to come up at some point. So, by bringing it up yourself, I'm sure that's probably puts
Yeah.
them more at ease as well. So it sounds like a really great strategy there. So when I was in sales, one of the biggest challenges that I saw was mindset. I struggled with it myself at times because how do you stay positive and resilient in a career where, in general, you're being told no more than you're being told yes? And sometimes, often, even though you feel like you did things the
Yes.
right way.
So sales can destroy you if you are not built for that and if you don't create support structures. So since you are in sales or a business owner properly, you are built for that. So let's look at the support structures. The support structures are, first, it doesn't need to be a solo thing. Sales is actually much more fun when it's collective sales. So for example, it starts already in marketing. I don't just post something on LinkedIn. I create a WhatsApp group with my buddies and I say, guys, I'm gonna post every day on LinkedIn. Who else is gonna post every day on LinkedIn? I'm gonna comment on your stuff, and you're gonna comment on my stuff. Who's in? Now you get 20 buddies to say yes, and let's go. And now you are doing marketing together. That's much more fun. Now, if Simon comes day 4 and I don't post, those buddies will go, Simon, what's up? Share something about your day. You didn't share anything. I say, yeah, guys, you're right. Okay, I have to share something. So it started already in marketing, right? Create your support structure. So we run those expansion teams, we call them, for our clients. If they don't have 20 buddies, then we will collect 20 buddies for them and put them together in such supporting structures. The other thing is you don't have to look at yourself onto your pipeline and your CRM and decide who to call, how to call, what to say. Also for that, every Monday we have a pipeline coaching format. So 1 hour, it's a group. People come to the Monday session, they ask me a question about their pipeline, and I help them. I say, write this, try this, say this. And so they have already something. It's much more fun. You get feedback. We make sales role plays. The next support structure, play it, make it playful. So if you don't like hearing no's, then go for no's. Go say, okay, I want to get to 3 no's before I go to lunch. I want to hear 3 no. Okay, I'm gonna go for 3 no's and then I go for lunch. Much more fun, right? So you get your 3 no's and then you end up
fun.
closing one. You're gonna, I'm gonna go for lunch. Come on, no. But then they actually buy something. Yeah,
Little gamification that makes everybody feel better, right?
Sounds.
So
The
very
sweet
cool.
sound of Qigong, literally everywhere. We have confetti, we have sound coming up, we have pew, 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 congrats, everybody's high-fiving. And the sales role plays and all this is meant to actually make it fun. Because if you don't, then it's quite draining and a terrible activity to do, right? Alone calling people, hearing no. Who wants that?
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I know even being in sales meetings with other people, when the tone of the meeting was more about we've got to hit numbers and it's very strict and stern, it just adds extra pressure. Whereas when you're in a meeting where everybody's sort of joking around and having a little bit more fun, and making it more about a contest, or these two guys are vying for who's going to get the more sales this month or whatever. I think that definitely makes sort of changes the mentality about the way you look at the whole process of it, instead of feeling like it's a drag or something that you have to do and that's going to be painful and difficult. It now has a little fun element to it where you can feel a little bit lighter about that. So I've been dying to get to this. I had to ask you all that preliminary stuff, but the 8 steps to repeatable sales. I know that is something that you created, and I'm curious if you could tell us what those are. And is it something that anyone can implement, or are there certain requirements for ourselves as salespeople or organizations to be able to do that?
Everybody can implement them who sells via a personal conversation. So if your offer is below $1,000, you don't need that because you can sell it directly from your website. But if it's a 5K, 10K, 20K and above, now people will want to talk to you before they buy it. It works in that context when you sell it in a conversation, via conversation.
Okay.
And so if you are in that context, the 8 steps, they can be downloaded on strategysprints.com. They're a free template, and they're also in the book, Strategy Sprints, on Amazon. But basically,
Awesome.
It's really starting in a way that actually creates trust, creates expertise quickly, then talking about what happens if nothing happens, what happens if you do this and this and this, and what are your criteria for deciding, and then helping them decide, and then really having them push for the starting date and push for the contract. And then the last bit is how to set up that contract in a professional way so that the risk for them is lowered, they feel safe, and they feel in the driver's seat.
Awesome. That's very, very succinct and great, clear answer. Excellent. And obviously, we can go download the steps as well. So one of your masterworks is Strategy Sprints. Obviously, it's your company, it's a book. Can you tell us more about that and exactly how it helps in sales?
Yeah, so a 90-day Strategy Sprints is a cycle where for 90 days, we help you solve 3 things specifically. One is your pricing power. We want to increase your pricing power by 25%. Month 2, we want to increase your win rate by 25%. And in month 3, we want to increase your sales velocity by 25%. And after 90 days, we have increased those 3 things by 25%. Now together, they compound not to 75%, but to 99%. So you have effectively doubled revenue in 90 days. That's a strategy sprint of 90 days. There is a bit of course, if we go into the details, there is a lot to do to get there, but we have
Of
packaged it and we
course.
have templates, swipe copies, and everything for people so that they can go there faster. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They get a framework and the blueprints that are already working. But those are the three things to improve. Pricing power, that means you can charge 25% more without losing clients. Win rate, your
Okay.
call itself, the talking points, your talking time is so optimized that you you talk to 10 people, you close 25% more of them. And then the sales velocity, you have two chances, either by reducing the time from awareness to closing. That's the first test. And if that doesn't work, we go to the other side, how you can keep them longer. You have clients, what else do they need? How can you keep them longer? So retention, upsell, cross sell.
Makes perfect sense. And I love the fact that you systematize everything. So everything is broken down and simple and repeatable in ways that other people can integrate it and use it for what they're doing as well. So, do you have a favorite case study or a story about a client that you could share with us
Sure.
that you helped?
So we have a ton of marketing agencies and consultancies that work with us. One of the marketing agencies that worked with us, they had the problem that they were compared to AIs. Wow, okay, but I can do this for AI. So they would create your copy, your messaging, etc. And then they said, "Oh, no, I can do it much cheaper with AI." So, and then they would lose basically all the horsepower in the conversation, right? Because somebody else says, "I can do
Yeah.
it myself cheaper." You don't have any pricing power. That's a terrible conversation from there, right?
Right.
And so what we had to do is, okay, let's find what's actually unique about you guys. And if you think about that, everybody's unique. So there is a chance of finding what is unique about your offer, and that is positioning. And so in the positioning exercises, we were looking for what they stand for, how they deliver, what's the difference. We used AI to make some market research about what other options are there, about competition, and we found that there was an unmet need that their competitors would not offer. So they wouldn't solve something. And then they specialized on that part where there was no offer on the other side. So in month two, they made that offer, and now people were comparing it. They didn't find anything else. So now their pricing power was up more than 25% because they could charge now whatever they want, actually. And so when you find your uniqueness, that's the first piece, right? And the second piece is that you have to put client testimonials on your website: face, name, role, outcomes. This is something that not
Okay.
everybody does, but if you do it, and you can steal our process. If you go to strategysprints.com, you see how we put the client testimonials on there. Immediately you feel, all right, I know who these guys are working with, what's the outcome, and if they are like me or not, because that's what you need. And so we have selected 5 client testimonials with this agency. We've put them immediately at the beginning of the website. So now people, when they get to that site, they see immediately who this is for, who we have worked with, what were the outcomes, and that de-risks the decision, because you have always, on the buyer side, you have always risk. What if I lose money with this decision? What if I waste time with this decision? And what if it ruins my image out there because I've picked the wrong people?
Yeah. And the social proof element seems to really, especially nowadays with everybody doing all online, research and everything else, plays such a big role because they know that if we're marketers, if we're salespeople, we might be able to be slick or say things that, but when they hear it from somebody else who's a customer, who's actually gone through the process, they can relate more to that and say, hey, this is like me. If they got that outcome,
Exactly.
so can I. So that makes, I
Yeah.
mean, total
People
sense.
buy from people like them. So find a few testimonials from their industry, put them visibly on your website. That will do some part of the de-risking for them.
That makes total sense. So, so where can we find your programs at strategysprints.com? Is there anywhere else that we can find you, your programs,
Find
your
me
stuff?
on strategysprints.com. You find the book Strategy Sprints on Amazon. I have also a YouTube channel where I share some of the mishaps of that week and what I'm learning that week in sales. It's called Simon Severino High Ticket Sales. This is where you can find me.
Awesome. So on a lighter note, what do you like to do for fun? I know it's not a business question, but I figure, we're going through a lot of good stuff. And so want to also find out, what's sort of behind the scenes. I know you're a triathlete. What else?
I
do you
have
like
3
to do
kids,
for fun?
and they are 2, 5, and 8. So with the 2 years old, our fun is just getting one step behind out of the house, and as soon as we are there, oh my god, a bug,
Yeah.
a dog, and she's happy. So a bug and we are happy, a dog and we are in ecstasy. 5 years old, we
Yes.
like swimming, drawing, dancing, singing, and the 8-year-old wakes up 5 a.m. in the
Awesome.
morning, wants to play chess against papa, and then mountain biking and soccer. So that's my day.
So
Oh yeah,
they keep you on your
oh yeah.
toes for sure. Yeah. The wonder of a child at that age and just the magic that they see the world with is just amazing. I have 3 kids of my own, so I can totally relate. They're a little bit older, so we've gone through those phases already. But it was a joy, doing that whole process and just enjoying every moment of it because watching them sort of grow and evolve and become who they are is really cool. And then my last question that I have to always ask is, what's your number one tip for success as a business owner or an entrepreneur?
Don't give up too early. You can beat most of your competitors just by not giving up too early. I'm 22 years in my business. I've seen dozens and dozens of my competitors just collapse and stop doing it. Just don't stop doing it. And how do you do it? By making it fun, right? Making it fun, focus on the things that move forward, your win rate, your conversion rates, instead of whatever else you're doing. Focus on the few things that are important, and just don't quit.
It's great advice. And it's funny because I talk to a lot of business people. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'll tell you that one of the most common threads that I see from everybody and just about every walk of life in terms of their advice is the fact that it takes consistency, it takes commitment and perseverance, and that that really is the answer. You just keep swinging until you hit it, because that's the only thing that really knocks you out of the game is if you give up. And so I think that's very sage advice, and we appreciate that. So with that, it's just about time to wrap things up. I want to thank you again, Simon, so much for sharing all your insights and great tips with us. Go to strategysprints.com to get Simon's free newsletter that helps you become a better leader, learn how to become a certified strategy coach, and learn all about how Simon can help you. Thanks for tuning in.